Our speaker is Scott Beardsley. He is the recruiting manager for a company called eCruitability. He's going to be talking about why is it so, he doesn't say damn hard, but I'm thinking that that's what you're thinking. Why is it so hard to find a job? 7 pro tips to help you through the maze. Recruiting is Scott's passion. It is his way of serving others. Helping business leaders build great companies by providing high-performing talent is something that has given him great satisfaction for over 30 years. I think that's got to be a lie. He's not that old. While creating a positive experience for everyone involved. He has helped build teams for all types of companies, from fast-growing, highly successful startups to enterprise firms throughout the U.S. across multiple disciplines and industries. Originally from the Steel City of Pittsburgh, PA, and a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh, he has made Austin his home since 1999, but he still roots for the Steelers. I don't get it. And plans to stay for life. When he is not recruiting talent, he spends his time playing his bass guitar, being a part of the Austin music scene, enjoying the great outdoors with his family. Let's give a very warm welcome to Scott Beardsley.
Yeah. Well, that was very nice. I don't think anyone needs to move. I don't even need a microphone if it wasn't for the video, because my voice is loud. So they said we have about 2 hours to get through this presentation. Is that good with you guys? I'm just kidding. Promise you we'll be done nice and tight. My goal is to interact. As you just heard, I started recruiting in 1986, I believe, and I had hair longer than anyone in this room. My sister, I was doing debt collecting, bill collecting, and my sister called me up one day and said, I always used to say, I make 100 calls a day collecting debts, and that was not a fun job. But she said, why don't you make 100 calls a day being a recruiter like me? And I was like, what is that? Never even heard of it. And since that day, that was an immediate, fell in love with my job and have been digging it for the past 30-something years and love it. So yeah, seen some things. I started recruiting in the day when there wasn't even, we didn't even have a fax machine yet. So things have changed a lot over these past 30 years. But something that hasn't changed is how complex it is to get a job. Don't you agree? I mean, you work so hard, you know who you are, you have so much to offer. Why isn't it just, connect the dots? There's more openings right now in the city than ever before. Why is it so difficult? So these are the types of things I want to try to break down. But something I've learned in getting my presentation together is not too much has changed from 30 years ago. Some of these things are some of the basic breakdowns of why it's so difficult for some people to find their way through the maze. So let's take a look at some things. Obviously, recruitability, I heard e-recruitability, but our company is Recruitability. It basically stands for Recruiting with Accountability. We're one of the only search firms I know in the country that offers a 12-month guarantee on our placements. We offer our customers 12 months to pay their invoice. And what we say there is, it's more about the retention of top talent than it is finding them. And matchmaking is a hard job. Slamming people into jobs is an easy job. Finding jobs and people that match for the long term, that's a hard job. And that's some of the things that we focus on over at Recruitability. So, current state. Some of the things that is really going on in our economy right now is the job market's better than it ever has before. Anyone know the unemployment number right now? 3. It's in the 2.6 in Austin. That means a lot of people have 2 jobs if they want them. And, that's just crazy times. There's actually more job openings right now out there, if you go to the Austin Chamber of Commerce and check out some of the stats, than ever before. If you just go out and click and go to Indeed, who's here today, and various other job search boards, see all the aggregate job postings, it's off the charts how many is available. The demand for talent is at an all-time high. Companies are moving to Austin left and right, more than I've ever seen in my experience. Austin used to be, a good little town. It had the government here, it had UT, it had Dell, and a handful of startups and small groups and entrepreneurial spirit. Now, it rivals San Francisco or New York. Google's here, Facebook's here, Dropbox is here. The bigger companies are moving the corporate mentality into this economy. Everyone says the same thing. Let's move our operation to Austin. They have a lot of people there. Something's got to give. Well, if everyone has a job in Austin and people keep moving in town saying we're moving in to tap into the rich talent pool, how could that possibly be? What are they tapping into? What do you think that is? It's other people's employers, and other people's people. You know, they're moving to town and a new company moves in and hires 300 people. That wasn't 300 unemployed people that were just looking for work. That's 300 people that were working over at that other company and that other company and that other company. So what's happening is it's stimulating all these openings all over the place. So it's a pretty turbulent economy. It's almost as if you should be able to find a job easier in this economy than ever. But why is it so hard then? I'm going to get into that. That's a fact. He said because he's over 50, and that's a big deal. What else? Why is it so hard? Ma'am?
There's so many smart people moving here. There's very high competition for those jobs.
Massive competition for talent. The average stat is 206 applicants in the first 5 days of any new job opening. 6 brought in, 2 made an offer, 1 accept. That's basic stats. That's a lot. What else? Sir?
I want a salary proportionate to what my rent is going to be.
That's not my problem, says the employer. What do you got for me is all I want to know, says the employer. Yeah?
They're looking for highly skilled workers, a lot of tech jobs, and not always with that description.
True. There's a perception there that there's more of this demand I'm speaking of is for highly skilled tech workers. And that's certainly a fact. However, if you could visualize a pyramid right now, at the top of the pyramid, there's a very small amount of really high-end jobs out there at companies, like C-level jobs and vice presidents and managers even, senior managers. And then you got the middle of the pyramid, we'll call that the professional sphere, where everything from entry-level graduating professional degrees all the way up to bumping on senior managers. You know, they don't have any direct reports yet, but that whole gap right there is a huge amount of personnel. Now let's go to the baseline. And I don't mean anything disrespectful, it just is a pyramid picture here. But at the base of the pyramid, there is a gigantic, wide base of job opportunities that have absolutely nothing to do with skilled labor here in Austin. There's a massive amount of job opportunities in that pool. Problem is, on that side, you know, there's a certain cap on how much you can earn in that particular band, and there's certain work constraints. Like, for example, if you wanted to make X and you wanted to get a job in customer care for a software company, there must be 10,000 people doing that right now, but they're all at the same band. So, but it's more of a perception that it's all for highly skilled workers, okay? Because Austin is high tech and everything. But all these companies moving to town, they have 500, 600, 700 cubes to fill, and not all of them are highly skilled technical people. All right, so let's take a look at some of the things. You touched on a lot of them. These are some stats that, see, in recruiting, if you think about what I do for a living, what recruiters do, is I go on a job search about 5 times a day in a variety of industries. It's like my whole life for the past 30 years was a job search for other people. But it's still the same principles. If I had to find my own job today, can you imagine what I would do? What if I found myself in need for a new job? Do you think I would go, oh man, I better go look for work? I would just follow the same formula that I would follow for you if I was going to represent you today. I would make a plan and just get after it and be my own headhunter, if you will. It's those kinds of techniques that I'm going to try to be brutally honest with about today and transparent about what's really going on in the job market. Average time to fill in recruiter world is a big deal. Like I showed you the stats before, there's so much opportunity, but the average time to fill a job in Austin is still 63 days. That's a long time. How could that be when there's so many people looking? The average job order fill ratio is about 22%. That means, you know, if you're an agency, you fill about 22% of your jobs. The other of them, you don't. They got filled by someone else or they closed, but you didn't win that many percent of the time if you're a really good agency. So we think, well, who's filling all the rest of those jobs? And then I ask you all, from a job seeker perspective, what's the average time do you think it takes to find a new job for the average person? A lot of people say 6 months. Like, where do you hear that? I hear it too, by the way. But
Are you talking about 20-somethings or 60-somethings?
I hear someone here every $10,000 that you.
that's what I hear too. That was a really interesting stat.
What was that?
1 month for every $10,000 that you earn. So let's say you earn $100,000 a year. It could take 10 months to land the next job. That's a long time. Now, I got to see a little proof on that. But that is some stats flying around by people paid probably a lot smarter than me to put these stats out there. Fake news. But still, it seems to me that if that's true, and there is some logic there. If you're at the upper levels, you may be a little bit more selective. Don't forget the pyramid. There's less opportunities up there, a lot more competition. It's not like you're taking 15 interviews a month when you're at that level. If you're at the base of the pyramid, you should be taking 15 interviews a week. There's that many opportunities. Those kinds of things. All right.
So what is your number for that then? What's your statistic for that?
I think it's 90 days. I could show you a plan that anyone could get reemployed in 90 days if they work the plan. That's what I say. That's what I have to believe when I'm placing people, because I invest a significant amount of man hours to try to place somebody, and if I don't, there's no payday at the end of that. So I believe in the process. I follow the process. And I'll tell you a lot about that, okay? So some of the things that we talked about, some that you brought up, I listed as well. There's massive competition for jobs these days. Told you the stat was 250 people per average job that's filled. I say dehumanization. What's another fancy word for that? AI, right? AI. It's so weird. I don't know how you do it. Did you try to look for a job online? I mean, Indeed's one of the good guys. I'll give them credit, and a couple others out there. At least their website's credible. If you look at a job and you apply for it, it goes to somebody. But there's so many weird websites and scams and links and specials and promos and sign up here, give me your resume, but sign up first, and then we'll... It got so scary out there. Where's your resume going? And all this AI stuff, who's it helping? Is it helping you? It's helping some company back there trying to save some money or something on the process, or trying to dehumanize the process. At the end, it's people hiring people, not paper. So there's a big issue with the dehumanization of the process when we get into. Unfortunately, there's a lot of unskilled labor that facilitate your job search. So here's what I mean. I sent my resume to the recruiter over at ABC Company. I'm hoping to hear back today. Guess what? Recruiter's having a bad day. That guy doesn't even like his job as a recruiter. He's probably looking for a new job right now. No one trained the guy. And that's your career. So for the next 10 seconds, this wet behind the ear rookie is going to review your 20-year experience resume and determine your fate. It's crazy. I see, and then everyone just hires recruiters. Hey, hire that person. They're a recruiter. What kind of training do you need? No, recruiting is like sales. No, it isn't. You know how complex it is to know what's really the right fit for one of y'all? I mean, some of you even mentioned, I don't even know how to start the job search for myself. So imagine me just getting to meet you and then doing that. It's a difficult thing if you really do it right. There's so many people that don't do it right that recruiters are getting a really bad name. Every day I get another person tell me about a bad experience they had with a recruiter. Here's the best way to get rid of we always said this in recruiter world, best way to get rid of a recruiter calling you is say you need your help. All of a sudden, disappear. You know? It's crazy. And so most recruiters only operate under one premise. If I can place you today in that job, if I see you're an X and that's an X, I'll talk to you. If you don't fit, I don't want anything to do with you right now. I don't have time to talk to all y'all. I got to make money. That's just a big problem to me, what happened over the past 30 years in recruiter world. These people that really used to love their job, now there's just a bunch of people doing it. Sir?
I was going to say that in my role,
95% of all recruiters that contact me are Indian and are often calling from India. They're not interested in me at all. They're interested in as many names as they can throw out.
That's almost like dehumanizing the process, right? I mean, it's just now oh, what do you got to do? You got to do .NET. That's not how this works. I mean, I hear recruiters even to this day get on the phone with someone and in 10 minutes hang up and say, all right, I know what I'm going to do to help this person. It's like, how do you know this human enough in the last 10 minutes to know what's the right fit? Anyways, it's crazy. So communication issues has to do a lot with how people write job postings. Are they really clearly articulating what they need? And how people write resumes. Are you really articulating what you want and what you have to offer? So these communication issues, all it takes is one miscue and you're on the no pile. Just like that. And then unconscious bias is the age thing, or any kind of bias. It's mostly, I call it unconscious bias because I like to be optimistic that people really do have a good heart and they're trying. But deep down, there's something there. There's something that has the millennials see my resume and say, look at that old dog. He's not going to be happy doing this. And I was like, dude, I will run circles around you. But they don't know me. You know, they see me from graduating Pitt University in 1985. Oh, that old dude, I will smoke you. But still, how do they know? So that's what happens. It's kind of sort of an unconscious bias. And immediately, it's almost as if someone's looking for a reason to say no these days, and somehow it's easier. Like, oh no, spelling check. Oh no, too old. Oh no, out of state. Doesn't have an address. And so it seems to me like this unconscious bias creeps in. Okay? All right, those are my problems that I wanted to throw out there. So here's some of the tips I have to navigate in the maze. And I'd like to interact with y'all on this and elaborate with you and bring some specific examples or really help in details if you want. But number one is you definitely have to have a personal brand. And I heard a few folks up here say that that was some of the core issue with their job searches. I asked, who are you? Are you a butcher or are you a baker? Or are you a candlestick maker? Pick a team. You can't say, I like to cook and clean, let's go find a job. You have to pick a side. Make a point of the spear and then attack it. The problem is it's so anxiety-ridden. What if I pick the wrong one? It's like going to college and not knowing what to major in. You know, some people, they switch majors 2 and 3 times. Some of them graduate with anxiety, never really picking the point of the spear. And, you can overcome that. All you have to do is just root in and make a stand. Say, I'm going to be a tech writer. That's it. I'm making a plan. I'm making a project plan that says, this is what I can do best. This is what I've been doing. This is what people are going to value. This is what I have to offer, and this is what I love to do. Make a plan. So you have to have a personal brand. You have to identify yourself. Like, who are you? Are you a software engineer? Are you a headhunter like me? I was so happy I fell into my natural job. Because I wasn't a good bill collector. I gave it all away. I was like, oh, you can't pay, no worries. I'll call you next week. I gotta get you. Anyway, so you have to pick who you were. I know when I graduated, I had a computer science degree from Pitt. Again, I had long hair. I got a music contract, and I got a recording contract to go to San Antonio. I went down there to play music. I was making, I think, $5 an hour in a studio, living on the floor. And I got a job as a bill collector for an increase. But the point is, I didn't have a tip of the spear. I didn't know what I wanted to do. If I stuck with computer science, I would have said, all right, I'm looking for a software engineering job. What would I be doing right now? I don't know. But I took this topsy-turvy little way of my life. At any point in your life, you can stop the curves and just root down and say, here's what I'm going to be. But I strongly recommend, though, that you pick 1, 2, 3 maximum spear tips and get after it. You know what I mean? Because you can't spread out much more than that. So your brand means once you pick this, try to identify it. Make sure that everyone that sees your resume, first of all, you know that as soon as I get your resume, I'm going straight to your LinkedIn profile. If it doesn't match, there's a problem here, right? That's called brand. So I see you called yourself a software engineer, but on LinkedIn you say that, so as soon as I see something disparate, again, 10 seconds, ding, 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 okay, something's the matter. Or I see your resume says that you started working in 1992 to present, but your LinkedIn profile shows that you've been working since 1966. I'm like, wait, you were trying to cut your resume because someone must have given you this brilliant advice to not put everything on your resume so that I could cross-check you on LinkedIn and then reject you trying to mislead me, right? So have your brand, just be proud who you pick to be. If it turns into blue and gold colors, if you want to brand your LinkedIn profile with a picture of flowers in the background, put it on your resume. Put it on your business card. Just like a marketing company. Have an integrated approach. That's Scott. This is Scott. That's Scott. My LinkedIn, Scott. My Facebook is Scott. Anywhere you go, it's the same guy. Except Facebook's different because that's my rock and roll side. You're allowed to be yourself on Facebook. Is that true?
Yeah.
All right. So you have to pick who you are. Say, who am I? What do I want to be? If you don't know, you can get counseling. But ultimately, you have to have the point of the spear to do anything on a job search. Otherwise, you'll just take whatever comes around. Number two, once you've figured out what this point of the spear is, let's say that you're committed. You're going to work in sales for a high-tech company, I think this gentleman said. Great, if that's the point of your spear, biz dev or account exec, that's 2 spears, by the way, right? There's a whole project plan for getting employed as a business development rep. And there's a whole project plan for getting employed as an account executive, even if it's for the same group of companies. You work it differently, and you want to track it differently. And so you want to have a project plan. Does anyone ever do that with their job search?
Say that again, sorry.
Like have a project plan or a true step-by-step process? What defines a project anyways? A project means it's time-bound. I will be employed by October 1st. It has budgeted elements in it, like I will spend 6 hours a day on this. I will spend this much money on it. So you put a real plan together and you work the plan. And if you get behind on your plan, you say, I'm falling behind. I got to turn it up next week. Or if you're ahead of the plan, you can take a chill pill for a week. But either way, you can't just willy-nilly your job search. It has to be a project plan. And there's lots of ways to do that. Number 3, best way I found how to do it is to create a job search tracker. Now, I used to give these presentations so long. It was 1995 was the first time that I was trying to help people like this, and it was in San Antonio, this huge room. And I remember it was not so high tech, by the way, but I thought I invented job search trackers. I was so young and cocky at the time. So I did a presentation about 6 months ago, same thing, and I forgot my job search tracker to give as an example. So right before the presentation, I Googled it, and there must be 10,000 examples of job search trackers. I thought, well, I'm not that smart. But there were some really good ones out on Google, and they're called job search trackers. What you do with them, they're like project planning tools. You front load it in. You say, here's the company, here's the target, here's the job, here's the date I applied, here's the date I followed up, here's the disposition. Did I hear from them? Did I not? Did they say, Dear John? Did I get invited in? Who do I know that works there? 3 blanks for 3 people that work at that company that you applied for. Well, Scott, I don't know anyone. Go find 3 people that work there. There's a massive research out there. Fill in those blanks. Find 3 people. That kind of stuff. So this project plan, these job search trackers are way important. Number 4 is, and I heard this earlier today in the room, is you definitely want to leverage Austin's very rich network here, networking community. Anyone here from out of town? Where are you from, sir? Green? Oh, that's not that far out of town. How about anyone from New York City?
300 miles.
Yeah, that's pretty far, dude. New York?
New York City.
Get a rope. No. So if New York, I recruited in New York a long time. Not as friendly of a networking place because it's very hard to take 2 trains and planes and an automobile to get to the networking event. It better be close to you. You know, at least Austin is close and concentrated. But another place, like in LA where I recruited, it was just, no offense to anyone from there, it was really not so friendly, if you know what I mean. Like people just had no interest to network with you. You could set up all the meetings you want and have free pizza, sit next to someone and say, what do you do? And he'd be like, why did you come to the dance and not want to dance? You know what I mean? So I don't get LA's community, but Austin is phenomenal. People talk to you, they're easy to get to. You could be a raging alcoholic in this town by going to a party every night. But there is something to do every night. And by the way, it's not just happy hours. There are great breakfast places, meetups, lunch meetups, Capital Factory, this cool group. There's so many ways like this to get together with other folks. There's really no excuse not to leverage your networking talent in this town. Like you were saying earlier, move to the middle, move to the middle. It's kind of like that mentality. Sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. Great things happen. And what does it hurt? Nothing. Who cares in the end? Dance with a lampshade on your head. Who cares? Just put yourself out there. You know what I mean? And you'll see some great things happen. All right. Number 5. This one here takes a little bit more time. But this is, the mission is to get referred versus to apply for a job. Now, has anyone here applied for a job lately? That's a good one, right? Again, the application process these days is maddening. I know I won't go back into that whole maddening screen clicking and everything, but it sure is different than what in the day when I started, just to put some context, people really would show up at your office and come into the receptionist and say, hi, my name's Scott. I was wanting to know if you guys have any openings, and here's a copy of my resume. Could I leave it with the human resources team? That was hard. Now you sit in your living room clicking around. It's not that hard to search for jobs as much. It's just so hard to get through to somebody. At least in those days, someone may have walked out and said, oh, Scott, thank you for stopping by. Do you have a moment? Come on in my office. Instant job. I mean, I'm a one interview close. So if I get someone to talk to me, I'm in. The hard part is getting someone to talk to me. You know? And so it got so hard with online stuff. So anyways, let's say you see a job out there. It's for a BDR for a tech company. You're thinking, that's it. Let me get my resume together, apply. Wait a minute. Maybe you still want to apply, but before you do, what do you know about that company? Okay, the company's name is Lean DNA. Hint. Lean DNA is now, what do they do? How many people do they have? I mean, I don't know. We'll go to LinkedIn and just search for the company, and it'll show you. If you don't have LinkedIn Premium, which I forget how much that costs, $90 a year?
No, 300 and something.
300?
Like 30 months, maybe 29 months.
It's your job search. It's your job search. You know, get the premium, and it gives you anyways, if you don't have it, I would recommend getting it. But you can see a wide array of people that work at companies, and you can start seeing patterns. Hey, they only have 6 people here in Austin. Everyone else seems to be in Pittsburgh. This must be a satellite office. What they're thinking, and you know, what kind of positions? Oh, everyone here is in accounting. Everyone in sales is in Pittsburgh. Oh, okay, well. So you start to see patterns by doing some research, but the real point is, if you're targeting ready to hit send on your resume, the question is, who works there? Can you get a name of anyone? It may take an extra 24 to 48 hours, but let's say there's a name of Pam Stevens on LinkedIn who's in accounting, random, and you say, hey Pam, my name's Scott, you don't know me, but I was curious, I'm looking at my next great career move, your company looks like a great place to work. I see you worked there for the past 3 years. I was wanting to know if we could please connect. I'd like to get your opinion of what it's like working at this company before I apply. It's a fair question, right? It kind of promotes the fact that I'm not desperate. Hey, I'm choosy here. What are you guys all about? I like to check a reference before I just apply to somebody. What's it like even working here? Most people will appeal to another human's request for help and say, sure, Scott, I'll help you. I'm in accounting. I don't know anything about sales, but no, I just want to know what it's like working there. So let's say I make a friend with old Pam now, and Pam and I are connected on LinkedIn. Next thing you know, I have a contact that works at Lean DNA. Now my relationship starts to escalate. Hey, Pam, does your company have an employee referral program? Would you benefit in any way by handing my resume into the director of sales in there? And now you're behind the curtain. Everyone else is waiting in line on the website, if it's even found, and your resume is sitting on the boss by his buddy who he went to lunch with yesterday in accounting, who he says hi and waves to every day. Credibility. It's just such a difference to get referred in to a job than to apply cold. Call it a warm call versus a cold call. Fight to get a warm call, a warm introduction somehow. Is it extra work? Yeah. Is it messy? Yep. It's hard. Are you going to get rejected a lot? Yep. It's got to sting a little bit here and there. But it's so helpful when it works. It's worth all the muck for that one person to say, sure, I'll help you. I know other companies that have their employees on lookout for folks that are looking for work so that they can get credit. They're like their talent scouts. Hey man, get $1,000 for every hire. So believe me, companies are very interested to talk to you if you reach out and you say, can I please ask you for some help? I just want to know what it's like working at this firm. Just need 2 minutes of your time. See, you've worked there a while. Make sense? Number 6, similarly to the 5th one, is try to personalize every application. To me, this is partial to the communications issues that I see a lot out here. But it amazes me, as a recruiter, I get plenty of resumes. I get a resume and it says, and I say, oh, this is a good one. So I dial the number. Person answers. I say, hey, my name's Scott. Saw your resume. First question, what caught your eye about my posting? Oh, shoot, I don't know, Scott. Well, let me, no problem. I know I called you out of the blue. Let me try to remind you, and I try to give them some hints. Because I did just call them out of the blue. But ultimately, they go, oh, man, I don't know. I must have sent 100 resumes out. Click. I mean, that's who I am. I know it sounds rude, but I don't have time for that. So, I mean, you don't even remember who I am? I mean, you sent me your resume, and you're going to act like, what? Remind me again? Now, I get it. I get it that you're sending your resumes out through all these applications. You lose track, but not if you use a job search tracker. So all these things are integrated into one play. You got to handle it differently in your job search. Make sense? So personalize it. Lean DNA. Keep on that example. Hey, I noticed I saw your company. I'm looking for my next great move. I noticed that you guys were in the SaaS space, that you help companies with their logistic problems, and you're revolutionizing that. I'm really into that. As a matter of fact, I had a friend that used to blah, blah, blah. Why are you applying for this job? And don't say because you got to make your rent, wherever that came from. That's not my problem. Don't you know that everyone wants to know on the receiving end, what is in your hand for me? Because when you knock on the door with an empty hand, I have nothing for you. I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. Nope, I have skills. I have skills. I have skills. Everyone has something to offer. Just make sure that you put that front forward. Know your identity, know who you are, love what you do, and then be loud and proud about it. And that's how you want to definitely say, I am sending my application, my resume to you specifically because of this. And I wouldn't worry about writing up big cover letters either. Because that's, again, remember the unskilled labor a lot that's going to review that and go, brr. They're not even going to see it, okay? It's really about personalizing a short burst message that speaks to the fact that you took the few minutes out to learn a little bit about my firm and targeted me. Make sense? On the other hand, you guys are all like candidate consumers or whatever on LinkedIn. Recruiters hit people up all the time, and that's maddening as well. A lot of times the problem I have, or the problem I hear from a candidate perspective is, this recruiter called me and said, hey, I was talking to you about this accounting role. And you're like, did you not even look at my profile? I'm a biz dev guy. So, it's just almost rude not to take 1 second to look at my profile, just for a second, and try to say, hey, Scott, I see you went to the University of Pittsburgh. Cool. Anyways, I was calling you about this thing. Because at least I know that you're one step beyond the masses from, say, India or wherever that is hitting up the volume play out there. Sending out mass emails. Sending a resume to anybody. I get 50 of those a day. One says, Scott, your company looks like it's doing some great things. You were founded in 1999, really cool. I'm like, talking to that dude. I don't even know what they do. They're a dog catcher. I'm calling that person up. And I'm saying, what did you see? I'll talk to anyone on the planet that wants to help my firm. What do you have to offer? Well, Scott, I really haven't done this before, but, you know, and I try to play it, and I hear this motivation, I hear this eagerness, I hear this desire, and I say, come on in, let's talk. There's something about that person that you want to talk to. But that other person is like, well, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I say, well, when you figure it out, let me know. And we'll talk again. Make sense? So, point is, personalize your application. If you're sending out 10 applications a day, personalize it. If it takes 20 minutes for each one, take the time. What else are you going to do? Make sure that you personalize your application. And you answer the question. Here's the question. Why are you applying for my job? Just answer that. And then make sure the answer is something I want to hear. Make sure, you know, that it's not for you. Yeah, everyone knows you're looking, of course. But what you really want to do is come and help my company grow. You want to come and help my customers. You want to help solve problems. You want to help increase my market share. You want to increase, you know, what do you want to do? You want to do something for me, don't you? As soon as you do, I'm going to resonate and want to connect. Make sense? All right. And then number 7 is working with search firms and recruiters. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can learn about that. I can go on for an hour, but no, I'm keeping my eye on that clock there. But what I want to say there is anyone here currently working with a recruiter? I know there's some cool people here, they're recruiters. It's, you know, so who knows how it works? Say from a, how does it work? How do I get paid?
Placing somebody for X number of months.
Placing someone's, you know, yeah, I transact, right? But who pays me? The employer. So who do you think I'm working for? I know, and everyone says, I'm here to help you find work. No, really? Then no, I'm not. I'm here to fill that guy's job. You see? That's the truth. Now, all the recruiters that say I'm here to help people get jobs, no, they're not. Because they're here to fill jobs. And yes, it's both sometimes. But if I went on a mission right now to help Greg, if I had 10 job orders, each one of them are going to pay me $20,000 a pop if I find them a guy. Greg, on the other hand, I'm going to spend 60 man-hours pounding, looking, and by the end of it, I'm going to get you an interview. Now, what do you think I'm going to do this week? That's the truth. So when you, ma'am.
I'd like to ask recruiters this every time, explain why ghosting happens.
Well, ghosting happens both ways. Now, do you mean candidate ghosting, employer?
Oh, no, recruiters. Yeah, I love you. I'm gonna get you that interview next week. If
Oh,
you get in the door.
okay.
And never hear from that person.
That's what I was saying earlier. The best way to get rid of a recruiter is ask for help. So the thing is, if I found out that Greg's profile is going to help me fill one of these 10 jobs, we're going to be best friends. And then I find out that Greg can't help me fill these 10 jobs, but we're going to be pretty good friends. I'm going to talk to you, give you advice, help you, and then eventually it's going to fade away. You know what I mean? So that's what happens is a recruiter makes this rationalization that I can only spend time talking to people that I can place right now because my customer is, they're pressuring us, they're ringing a bell. Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Not to mention we have commission mentality and everyone's doing that. So they hide under the fact that I'm sorry, Greg, I have the right attitude, I just don't have time to talk to you. And then of course, a week goes by and then you just go away and I just go, that never happened. Me and Greg talked once, he went away. Now, the good recruiters that I know, they take the time. It's very difficult. I connected with a lot of you all this morning on LinkedIn. If I talk to every one of you for 30 minutes next week, I'm going to be broke. The thing is, so recruiters aren't your best source. I'm telling you. When a recruiter finds you, that's a different story. But when you find them and you say, can you help me? I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Now, how you can help a recruiter, what I always tell everyone, if we connect like we did, Greg, I'm going to help you, I'd say, Greg, here's how I need your help. I need you to look out for yourself. I need you to continuously look around and find jobs that look like they're decent fits for you. If you find one, shoot me an email, say, Scott, I just saw an opening for a BDR at Lean DNA. And I say, oh, I know those dudes. As a matter of fact, you need to contact Tim Stevens over there. I don't have a contract with him right now, but I know the guy you need to talk to. Right? I know everyone in this town. And I will give you that information. It's just I can't go hunting for you, finding your job. So imagine if every one of you were out there finding 2 and 3 openings for yourselves like you are all the time. I'm the kind of recruiter, and all the recruiters I know that are really into investing, like my time right now is evidence that I invest my time to help people. It's not all about just the placement fee for me, but it all comes around. But the reality is no recruiter can help you like a counselor, like this group can. These are great groups for that, sir.
Why are these recruiters are investing in terms of, say overseas, I'll say India, I don't know, depending by they can't speak English, they may have some interesting jobs, but I think they live those jobs someplace else, they claim them, and they're constantly calling people all over the place.
Again, what happened there is just like the call center business. Someone had a brilliant idea to, hey, let's outsource the call center to that country, and we'll save $1. And so someone here wanted to save $1 so that the rest of our experience can be degraded by 1,000%. And again, who's it serving? It's not serving me as a job seeker in any way. These AI tools and these things. And so what they do is companies, they get lazy, I say, and they hire this outsourced company that just goes and soullessly mines a bunch of buzzwords and soullessly fires off a bunch of emails and soullessly doesn't communicate with everybody and connects a few dots and goes and gets a beer. They'll never know you, never know your middle name. Once you're placed, forget about it. That's why I joined Recruitability, by the way, because we stick with people for a year after we place them. Imagine the risk there. I mean, we counsel them too. Yes, ma'am.
Based on what you just said, it almost sounds like there's not a huge benefit to reaching out to a recruiter with your resume because you're so busy and you're not going to go search for jobs for individuals. It sounds like you're saying it's better for us to find postings and then reach out to a recruiter. Is that?
Yes, if you had a relationship. And so if you contact a recruiter, say, hey, I know how it works. I know you're not going to go crusade for me all day and night, and I got you. But I have a lot to offer, and you can make some money with my background. Tell you what, I'll help you out. I'll find some leads and send to you, and all you have to do is tell me if you know someone over there. It's just that simple. I'd be like, heck yeah, I got me a partner now. And that's how it works. Make sense? Now let me asterisk something. Staffing firms are different than recruiting firms. Anyone know the difference? Temp versus perm. Staffing firms are different. They do sit down with people and make marketing calls for them because they have these large portfolio of openings, and they sometimes go, oh, I talked to this girl, I know 10 people that would like you. So there's a high volume market going in temp work, and I do agree with getting involved in it, but keep this in mind. You're going to get a temp job. You're going to get the one that I need filled today. Maggie, I think the thing's in my eye, but you said, I'm trying to look for a direction. If I was a temp agency and I said, well, she likes creative stuff. I got this advertising firm over there. I don't even know what it does, but it's creative. Let's get her over there. And then I feel good because I got you working. About 6 months later, you're like, yeah, it's really not fulfilling, you know? It's like, see, went too fast. I didn't get you a career. I just plugged you in somewhere. And I guarantee you, when I plug you in, that's when to start looking, because it's no better time to look for a job than when you got one. But if you're in between and you do need to get employed, I would go to a staffing firm. And they probably will plug you in. It just won't be your desired job. Take what you can get. Start making some hourly rate and work on your job search on the side. That's the only answer. But they do move people pretty quick. Yes?
How do you get resumes to fill the positions for companies that you're working for if people aren't saying, here's my resume? Are you searching and looking on LinkedIn and things of that nature
Yep.
versus pulling from a pool you already have?
Yep, it's a combination of things like that. So for example, if I get a job order right now for a senior business analyst, the first thing I'm going to do is find out who in this room's won, right? Because I just met you all. Why would I go to a stranger first? So all recruiters go to their private talent pool of relationships first and see if they could pull any resources from people that they know. So remember, it's about people, not paper. This resume looks great. The guy's a complete butthead. This resume looks terrible. The guy's the best hire you'll ever make. Talk about unconscious bias. So if everyone in my private talent community, I know them now. And so if I said, oh, I talked once to her, I met you at this one thing, I remember now. If you sent me your resume and say, oh yeah, we met at that thing, I can present you better to a customer. So they'd say, Scott, how do you know this person? We're about to pay you $15,000. Don't tell me you just grabbed this person off LinkedIn. And I'd say, no, I know her. We met at this thing. They expect me to have gone below the surface of an Indian firm or whatever, scraping the web. They expect me to get to know my people. And they expect me to present people that I feel would be a good match for their job based upon everything from your skill set to your cultural fit. Make sense? And that's how a lot of it lost its soul, because it's just now massive transacting, openings, resumes, openings, resumes, openings, resumes. Ding, 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 we got a match. Someone got hired. But I'll tell you, it's a maze out there to work through. So yeah, I would not work with permanent staffing, permanent recruiting firms on a proactive level unless you're going to say, I'm looking for a relationship. I know you're not going to hunt for me, but can we keep it open channel? That way, A, you're in their database, so now they can retrieve you if something does come up. And B, if you found something and said, hey, Scott, I saw this opening over there. Do you know anyone? And I said, yes, I do. We both might make some money today. And I'm very motivated to take that call. Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things I've noticed over the last year or two or three in the job search process is when you get the job calls, there's less and less information about who the person in that particular company is that is the hiring manager. And even when I search on LinkedIn, I'm not finding who the hiring managers are. So I've tried sending in resumes with cover letters targeted specifically to who I think it is, and it's, again, the black hole. It disappears, you never hear anything, so I don't know, did it even get to the right person, did the APS, it's like, I'm not sure how to figure out which was the off piece. Was it the APS piece was the mess up? Was it, I sent it to the wrong person, they were insulted, they didn't take it any farther?
Well, I mean, it's sad that you didn't get a response from whoever this.
Oh God, I think I've had responses from 3 companies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just a mess out there. I don't know how we can deal with it.
Yeah, one of them was like, I can't remember if it was Indeed or Glassdoor that said, oh yeah, you're like on LinkedIn, like you're 90% match for this job. I sent in my thing, and I know this one was the ITS thing, and it comes back in less than 5 minutes after I submit the application, yeah, you don't fit any of our job calls. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That had to be AI or something, or an unskilled person.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just nothing. So to answer your question is, you can make your best efforts, you're not going to win them all, but find someone, again, that the accounting clerk I was mentioning.
Okay.
That person's not getting any attention today. Make their day. Make their day and ask for some help. Say, this is weird, but I sent my resume and I have no idea. I just want to know just try.
Yeah.
Worst they could say is, don't call me again, click, but you tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll separate you from the pack, for sure. All right, so anyway, I'm starting to wind down. Yes, ma'am?
I was just wondering if you can touch a little bit on what seems like a disconnect to me in, you spoke about, say, 3 spearheads, but then things not matching your Indeed or your LinkedIn profile.
Well, you have to,
One of those.
the best way to see the thing is, let's say that I was a baker for 10 years. Obviously, I should go try to find a baker job because I have something to offer. If I was a baker for 10 years, I'm tired of it. That's it. I'm going to be a butcher. I'd say, great, come and be an apprentice. I'm going to pay you a fraction of your comp, and you're going to learn for the next 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? So in other words, if I'm going to step off of what I have to offer into a zone that I have less to offer, into a zone that I have nothing to offer, then the leverage goes all the way to them. At this point, I'll say, I'll work for free just to learn this business. Like if ESPN called me, I'd be like, yeah, sports, yes, I'm in. This one, kinda, but this one I have a lot to offer. If someone was looking at me for a recruiting role, I have a lot to offer. If someone was looking for me as a director of sales, I kind of get it, but I really never did that. If I sent a resume in with my background for a director of sales right now, they go, guy wasn't a sales guy. See, but I have a lot to offer. Recruiting is sales. If I try to go for a software engineer job, they'd be like, what do you have to offer, dude? Right, so if you have, it all depends on what you have to offer and how well you represent that as your brand and your spirit. The easiest way to get employed is keep going on the path that you're on. And what you have to offer is what you've been doing. It's the most recent and relevant skills that you've been working with that you have to offer. It's like hot. Hey, I've been making blueberry pies for the past 6 months. That's great, I need a pie maker. Well, if the same guy was saying, I needed someone that was going to make wedding cakes. You're like, well, I know how to bake. Yeah, but when's the last time you made a wedding cake? Right? It's different. People want someone that can say, I was doing this right now. Right now. I always show people that I talk to, and when I do intake calls with my managers, they say, I'm looking for someone, and I draw them a picture. It makes it so much easier, the conversation, but it's a tree. So every one of us is one. So we have our roots in the dirt, wherever that is. Mine's at University of Pittsburgh. I went there because I followed a girl. I had a college scholarship to go to Penn State, and she ditched me in my freshman year. Anyways, then you have your tree, which is your experience. You know, mine's 30 years long, and I've always been a recruiter. So my tree is right to the top. And right now, for at least the last 2 years, the fruit I'm giving off is recruiting stuff. And I'm doing really well for the company that I work for. I make them a lot of money. That's what I have to offer. So I know other people's trees are, well, I got this degree, my roots were over here, but then I started working over here, but then 3 years later I opened up a company, but then I went and took this job over there. And like 6 years ago, some fruit used to spew out at what they used to do in the good old days. I'm saying, nobody I know is going to value that today. That was 6 years ago. So you can't connect those dots. Someone will give you the chance. It's just going to be hard. You know what I mean? So just keep the 3 layers. A lot to offer, something to offer, nothing to offer. And that's how to get your brand together. Sir?
Just 2 quick questions. You mentioned something about the length of your employment. It's such a long time. How do you shorten it in your resume that it's not so different from your LinkedIn? That's one question. And then the second, if you're doing a search on as a recruiter, if you're doing a search on a LinkedIn, when you're looking at individuals, how many seconds are you looking at that individual to say this person is right or not? And is it worth spending money, paying somebody professional to design my LinkedIn for that reason?
About the spending money part's a little suspect. I don't know how much I would pay to have someone fix up my LinkedIn profile, but I spend 10 seconds. Yeah, you could basically count. I'm like, ching, 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 ching. Talk about swipe left and right.
Title and go down from their personal statement and based on...
I never see the personal statement. I look directly at where you're working right now, what your last title was, and the company that you worked at. And in that 10 seconds, I'll figure out if we're going to spend more time.
So in the title, do you put in what you desire to be, or what you're currently, you work for?
You could put that, and I might see it later if you're working in a job as with a title in a cool company right now that I'm interested in. Make sense?
And then how do you shorten your resume? It's not...
Never shorten your resume. I don't know who started this, but somewhere along the line, someone said, I know, you should have a 1-page resume. People get annoyed. I want to know who's the person annoyed with the 1-page resume, or with the 2-page resume, or 3. I'm looking at this person. I'm so annoyed, this person has a 3-page resume. Who's that guy? Like, now I understand the person that writes a 20-page resume, that's overkill, come on. But if nothing else, be open and transparent about your chronology of your work history. Don't hide that. Even if you have to make one line or saying, I worked at IBM from this time to this time, then this company, then that company, then this company, then that company, without a lot of verbiage in it, if you want to make it short, but don't omit critical data like you worked at IBM for 10 years and just forgot to put it on your resume. That's the error.
Following up on what he said, if you've had a lot of different, like, shorter terms, like a contract kind of thing, I mean, you don't want to have a whole list of, I will cheer for you, I will cheer for you, I will cheer.
Well, it's the truth, though. I mean, when I talk to you, I'm going to find all that out anyway. And so you could shine it up if you want, but when we talk, I'm going to say, so Tim, let's slow down. And every person I interview, and I don't know if many recruiters do this anymore, but the really good ones do, I'll say, tell me about why did you pick that school? We're going to start with your roots. Tell me, how did you get that first job? Why did you leave? How did you get that job? Why did you leave? How did you get that job? Why did you leave? How did you get that job? And why are you looking? And I'm going to find out your pattern. Because if your pattern is willy-nilly, you know, well, I tried that, but I didn't really like how they were working, so I decided I was going to try this, but that wasn't really fun. I'm like, no. But someone else is going to be saying, well, I went over here, but then what happened is my mom got sick, so I transferred over there, but then my dad opened a business. So all that's to summarize to say, some people have a really good story behind their job changes, transitions, and somebody doesn't have a very good story. And tell your story. You know, it's real. You were a contractor, see? What's wrong with that? I took that gig, I took that gig. I had some time for myself. I chose this life. What's wrong with that? Yeah, it looked like I had a lot of gigs. So what? Say I was contracting from 1995 to 2000, doing a variety of things for companies like A, B, C, and D.
And then, like, how much, on your resume or LinkedIn or both, how much information is not there about each job? You want to be too detailed, right?
No, you don't want to be too detailed, but a typical pattern of advice is this, and I got one other piece of advice for you is, on a resume, if you worked at a company called ILC Incorporated, anyone know that company? Neither do I. Make a blurb what it is. ILC Corporation, a very small mom and pop tax accounting company that I worked at in Austin, Texas. At least, if I would say if you're a football player, I'd say, who'd you play for? You know, the Canadian League or for the NFL? And what team? That makes a difference. Steelers? All right, I'm talking to you. Right? It matters. It matters. If you're with an upper crust company, then something must have went right for them to hire you. That's what everyone says. All right, last thing I want to tell you about. Did you guys ever hear of Terrific? Terrific. All right, you should write it down. There's a website, and it's called, it's HTTP : and all those slashes and everything. And it's just pro.terrific, pro.terrific.com. And maybe a slash at the end, I don't know. But what it is, it's a company based here in Austin, super cool play. What it does is, this so far, only 5 years old, but the statistics that he has gathered so far show that people are 50% more probable to get an interview when they submit their resume, when they add this terrific piece to their resume, than if they don't. That's pretty big. Pretty big. It's a tool that you go into and you fill out and you select a couple of your references, people that you know that you're going to lean on for your job search. It sends them a link. They fill out some information on you. Takes them 10 minutes. And it serves back into the server and sends to you this super cool branded document that looks like an MBA made it. And with your references all in it and all nice. And there's your resume and your references and there's your brand. I'm looking at this dude saying, man, this is one reason to talk to this person versus not. So if someone told me to make my resume pink colored and it would increase my chances again, I'd make it pink. But you should definitely go check out Terrific. It will boost your chances of getting an interview.
So P-R-O-T.
P-R-O and then dot. P-R-O.T-E-R-E-F-I-C.com.
Only one F? I mean, they're purposely not spelling it correctly.
Yeah, it's like reference. Get it? Terrific reference.
You want to edit it, get them to edit it afterwards. If you looked at it and sent it out And you would have to edit it.
I think you could edit it. You can even customize what you ask these people to say. I mean, check out the tool. It's super good. And you could call me with any questions. I'm Scott.Beardsley. I know it's nerdy not to have cards these days, but I mean, come on, you just linked up on LinkedIn. I'm Scott.Beardsley at recruitability.com.